Today we're going to be discussing SOL 8.6e, which is trying to determine the relevance and accuracy of details. So anytime we're trying to read something, we're trying to figure out, is it trustworthy? Is it well written? Is it accurate? Is it relevant? And that's a big deal to be able to analyze, so that's what we're going to try to do today. So first thing, make sure you have your note paper to fill in your notes. We want to talk about the word accuracy. And accuracy just means, is something correct? Is it trustworthy? Is it correct? Correct is a good word for accurate. And so in order to figure out if something's actually correct, we want to look at a few things. First, we want to look at where the author got his information. Someone who's writing or persuading us or giving us information, okay, well, where did they get that information? And in order to find out where someone got information, we want to talk about sources. Sources that are verified, that are published, that have a sponsor, those are your better sources. Anything like Wikipedia or a blog or a personal website is not a good source. Secondly, we want to look and see if the author is credible. Credible just means trustworthy. And it doesn't mean you have to know the person, but it means you have to look at his or her credentials. Credible is credentials. Look at somebody's credentials and be able to determine, is this person actually an expert in the field, or is this person a student, or what? So maybe it's a doctor, maybe it's a researcher. We're looking for a credible source. The third thing is you want to look and see, is the information fact or opinion? And we've already talked about facts and opinion extensively. Facts are the better thing to look for if you're trying to figure out if somebody's being credible. If all they do is give you their opinion, that's a little different. Next, we want to look at, does the author make sweeping generalizations? And a broad generalization means you're talking about many things. You're talking about a big group based on a small sample. This is not a good thing. A big group based on a small sample can lead to things like stereotypes. Like if we said, oh, well, so-and-so's from a certain school, they must be a snob. Or so-and-so is, her parents work here, so they're snobs, they're rich. You're making a sweeping generalization. You're talking about a big group based on a very small sample. And if that's the case, we do not want to credit the source. If somebody makes broad generalizations, that's bad. Okay, so we're looking at the word relevance, and relevance means related. It means it's related to what you're actually talking about. A lot of times people, for filler, might put in some details that just sound good, but they're not really related. So we're going to look for relevance too. So evaluate the information itself. Is this information actually needed? Is this information needed, or is it repetitive? If it's repetitive, then it's not needed. Is there anything included that is unnecessary to the understanding of the issue or topic, such as personal opinions or exaggerations? If you see personal opinions and exaggerations, that's irrelevant. Does the author use stereotypes? And let's talk about this word for a second. A stereotype is an oversimplified view of a group of people, kind of like that broad generalization, that is widely held but generally inaccurate. Stereotypes are not facts and do not belong in informational text. So if you were going to read something and you're trying to determine if it's related or if it's accurate, and you see stereotypes, which is again where you have a large group of people and it's an oversimplified view, meaning it's kind of like racist or sexist or gender biased or something, then we don't want to use anything that uses stereotypes. Okay, so here's the point. The point is, when you're analyzing a text for accuracy and relevance, You want to consider a few things. One is the purpose of the text. Why was it written? The credibility of the author is big to look at, and the impact of the information. What are they trying to do? So what's the point of what they're trying to write? Maybe you have a credible author. Maybe it came from a published source. They're trying to persuade you. But if they are giving you lots of stereotypes or inaccurate information, then their point's off. Don't use that source. Analyzing for accuracy is important because when you read persuasive text, especially something trying to sell you something, it needs to be accurate. So relevance means it's related. It's weird if you have medicine for sale. Think about commercials on TV, and they're showing you pictures of like happy dogs running through a field. Maybe that's accurate, but it has nothing to do with medicine, so it's not relevant. If it was just wrong, if it was a fact that was just wrong, it would be inaccurate. So, in other words, try to think about what you read and what you hear, and maybe don't believe every single thing every single time. Look for the author, look for the source, look at the details and see if they're related. This is so important and so true about anything that we're going to read on the internet, which doesn't have to be published by a publisher. So you want to make sure you use the same techniques. The same techniques of looking at the author and the publisher and the details and the opinions. You want to make sure you're really analyzing sources from the internet. Pay attention to the purpose of the site, who sponsored it and published it, which you can kind of tell at the bottom of the page usually. It gives you the copyright and where the information comes from. So look at what sources they're using in order to be a source themselves. The last thing we want to just make sure is you look for information that's not outdated. So some things are not time sensitive. Time sensitive means in time it's going to change. So if it's like breaking news from 5 days ago, that's time sensitive. If it's what elephants eat in their habitats, that's probably not too time sensitive, but you always want to look for publication dates. Something that's published in 2005 about the internet is probably way outdated. That wasn't even like cell phone time too much. Something that's published in 2005 about Abraham Lincoln is probably not that outdated. So, now we're going to practice, and we're going to walk through a couple things together. So, come pick up, please, this paper that says Analyzing Details for Relevance and Accuracy, and it'll say Practice with Notes on the top. And this is what we're going to kind of walk through together. Ultimately, you're going to turn in that for kind of a grade and some notes and easy stuff, and that will help you with your actual assignment. So, keep these notes. Come pick up the paper that says Practice with Notes. Okay, so this is the paper you should have picked up. At the top it says Practice with Notes. That's how you know you're in the right spot. And we're going to run through this together just as practice. So questions to ask when evaluating the relevance and accuracy of information are the same as was in your notes. One is the information relevant? Is it actually related to the topic? That's important. Is the information current? Is it time sensitive and current? Is the information credible? Can it be verified by a trustworthy source? And is the information complete? Because we don't want bias, which is when it's only one-sided. So, let's look at this first passage. Read the following passage and then answer the questions that follow to analyze the details in it for relevance and accuracy. The African elephant has a long, versatile trunk. The trunk is actually a combination of its upper lip and nose, but the elephant uses it for more than just smelling and breathing. The trunk can sense vibration, suck up water, and grasp objects. The tip of the trunk is made up of two opposable extensions which work like a person's fingers to pinch or grasp an object. Poachers are more interested in the tusks than the trunks. Elephants are often killed for the ivory in their tusks. So, in order to figure out the topic, we're going to look for words that repeat, like overall. Just give me like one word. What's the paragraph about? One or two words. And I see elephant and trunk. I see trunk like 5 or 6 times. Trunk. Tip of the trunk. So let's just say our topic is elephant trunks. This whole thing, supposedly, is about elephant trunks. The main idea has to go a little bit further. So what about elephant trunks? And you could say more specifically, the African elephant trunk is versatile. Versatile means it can do a lot of things. So let's put that. The African elephant trunk is versatile. Like, it does a bunch of stuff. That should be a T. Sorry. What is the author's purpose of this? If you just read it, they're telling you about the African elephant trunk. Are they trying to just inform you about it, persuade you to do something, in which we need words like convince, or entertain you with a story? So what's the purpose? And it kind of just looks like information. So we'll say the purpose is to inform about elephant trunks. So you should kind of see a pattern right now. This whole thing, our topic is elephant trunks. It's African elephant trunks are versatile, and it's information about elephant trunks. So, what 2 details are relevant because they support the author's main idea? What 2 details actually are relevant? And that's what we want to do. So we're going to go back up here and underline them. If it's versatile, it can actually do stuff. So, the trunk is a combination of upper lip and nose, but the elephant uses it for more than smelling and breathing. The trunk can sense vibrations, suck up water, grasp objects. The tip of the trunk, like all this. This is all talking about the trunk. All of that. So, we underline that. Circle 2 details that are not relevant because they do not support the main idea. So, poachers wanting tusks are kind of irrelevant. Elephants being killed for their tusks have nothing to do with trunks. So we circled those 2. Hope you see that. I hope you see that this is not like related to elephant trunks. So, is the information time sensitive? Does it matter if this was published yesterday or 10 years ago? And really, no. No big deal. If it was time sensitive, you'd want to look and see if it's current, but it doesn't matter. Is the information reliable? And this says animalfactguide.com was our source. So I would say yes. Animalfactguide.com sounds okay. List one source you could use to verify it. We could use what? We could use an encyclopedia. We could use maybe a National Geographic website. Something to verify something about animals. Why did the author include the information, the tip of the trunk? So let's look back. Information was the tip of the trunk works like a person's fingers to pinch or grasp an object. So why did this person include that information? Does it support the main idea? Does it tell you their opinion? What does it do? And overall, the tip of the trunk, because the whole thing's about it, supports the main idea. So all we're doing really is looking at information and trying to figure out, okay, they wrote this, but why why did they really write it? Is it to tell us something really clear or maybe be a little underhanded? And this one looks pretty okay, except these two sentences are completely irrelevant to the trunks. So you want to take out any information that's irrelevant. Okay, so once you have shown your teacher your notes and the little practice that we just did together, you're going to pick up this paper that says 8.6e, Analyzing Details, Relevance, Accuracy, and it's all about heat waves. The whole paragraph's about heat waves. And you're going to do the exact same thing we just did, showing you understand how to analyze it. There's also another one that says Bedford County should switch to a year-round school. So you're going to analyze 2 passages by yourself. Ask for help if you get stuck. Use your notes. Use the practice we just did. Look carefully at every detail. And when you're done, bring it to me.